Well, hello and good afternoon. Happy Friday to everybody who is here in our live session. For those of you who are watching the recording of this, happy whatever day it is to you. My name is Rebecca McAlpine. I'm the Director of Engagement here at Compass Charter Schools, and you are here for our Coach's Corner on cybersecurity. We are thrilled to have David Brasch, our Director of Information Technology, here today with us to share his tips and tricks on cybersecurity. Such an important and very near and dear topic to my heart, and just a really important thing that we all need to be aware of, not only for ourselves, but for our scholars and for our family members. It's such a very applicable and important topic. So we're very grateful, David, for the time that you've put into this presentation, and to each and every single one of our learning coaches and staff members who are here and present. We're excited to have Erica Angelo here, as well as JJ Lewis, so our superintendent and CEO, JJ Lewis, along with Erica Angelo, one of our teachers. So we're all here to support you guys as we work through and talk through this very important topic. And so if you have any questions, feel free to drop those into the chat box. We'll, of course, have a Q&A session at the end of this. So David's going to share all of his tips and tricks with us to start us off today. And then again, please feel free to jot down those questions either into the chat box, or you can feel free to ask them during the Q&A. David will share his contact information. So if you are watching the recording, please be sure to reach out directly to David if you have any questions due to missing the question and answers during our live session. With that being said, I am thrilled to pass off the mic now to David Brasch. Again, thank you, David, one last time, and take it away.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate the introduction. And once again, my name is David Brasch. I'm the Director of Information Technology with Compass Charter Schools. And our goal here today is to kind of cover some of the basic tips and tricks of cybersecurity. I've been in the industry for quite some time now, and I've ran into a few issues that are very common that keep coming up, and people don't necessarily take advantage of the security features that are available online today. And I just wanted to cover a few of those topics. So today we're going to go through just some general tips. We're going to cover some mobile device security, some cybersecurity while traveling, and then the most popular is going to be the social media security tips. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys may have at the end of the presentation. So we'll try to go through this as quickly as possible. So for the first items that I want to cover are going to be general information about your devices, and just to make sure that all of your devices are locked with a password. So on your computer, you always have a username, or you log in with an email address. You want to make sure you create a strong password with that, not using a password like password or 12345 or anything like that. The next thing is to never share your password with anyone. Don't email it, text message, or give it to anyone over the phone. It's not a good practice to let other people have access to your items. The other thing is to not use the same password for all of your accounts. You may have multiple email accounts, one for shopping, one for personal, one for business. It's always good practice to create your own password for each one of those and keep it separate. The next item I want to cover is about software installation. There's a lot of software out there for everyone to install on your computer. It's always good practice to know what you're installing and make sure that it's, number one, compatible with your device, and it comes from a trusted source like Microsoft or Adobe or the big organizations. The next common issue is when you're doing your installation, you're prompted with a number of screens where you have to click next and I accept the terms and agreements. And it's always important to read through all of the text that's displayed in those boxes, because a lot of times the big software companies have paid advertisements that get installed along with those. The most common are the Adobe platform, where they try to get you to install an antivirus program or some other type of program, that has a number of ads in it, and that's when the pop-ups start to show up on your computer. There's always a box at the bottom of there to unselect the installation for those additional softwares that you don't necessarily need. So you definitely want to pay attention to that. The next thing to pay attention to is your email. This is the most common way for a virus to get spread, or a phishing scam where people control your email account and get a hold of your contact list and send spam messages asking for username, password, login information. So when you're reading your emails, you definitely want to pay attention to who the email is coming from and who the email is going to. A lot of times you can expand the to and from fields so you can actually read the entire email address, and a lot of times there's hidden text in there, or spelling errors, or underscores, or different symbols that may look like it's coming from a legitimate person, but if you encounter those symbols or spaces within the email address, most likely it's a spam message. You also never want to provide any personal login information through those emails. If someone shares a document with you, most likely you would be able to download it without providing any login information. This is especially common in the Google platform, where a person will share a Google Doc with you, and if you are logged in your Gmail, checking your email, it will never ask you to provide your username or password to log in to view the file. It will automatically come up because you are already logged into your email account. So that's definitely something you want to pay attention to, and never provide that login information online. And then the final thing for email is going to be links that come through your email. So someone may share a link to an article, whether it be news or social media. You never want to just click on the link. The best thing to do is to hover your mouse over the link, and when you hover your mouse over the link, it will display the URL of where it's actually going to take you. And a lot of times you can tell whether it's a valid link or not, again, by looking at the URL and seeing if there's any spaces, symbols, or dashes, or anything like that within the URL. So you definitely don't want to click on ones that are not valid. Now, the best way to keep yourself protected is to make sure you keep your operating system up to date. Microsoft and Apple release updates twice a month to their operating system when they come up with security holes in their software. They always submit those out after they've been tested, and it helps to keep your system protected. This way hackers don't get access to personal information that's stored on your computer. You also want to make sure you update all of your software programs, browsers, plugins, items like that. Most of the time with the newer operating systems, this is all done automatically, but you can also check in the settings of each of your browsers or your programs in the About or the Help area. There is a link there to update your software. So you want to make sure your browsers stay up to date as well. And then along with that, your antivirus programs as well. The Microsoft has a built-in one called Windows Defender. I find it very effective. And they release updates pretty much on a daily basis as new viruses and issues are found. So you definitely want to make sure you take advantage of those. I can make some recommendations if you guys want for your personal devices as well. Then the last thing you want to do is make sure that you change your passwords at least 2 times a year. There's many hackers out there that have code running daily, trying to guess passwords, and eventually they will guess your password. It's just a matter of time. So it's always recommended to change your passwords at least twice a year, every 6 months, and especially when traveling, just to make sure that you stay secure. The next item I would like to cover is a little about your mobile device and staying secure with that. Most of the newer mobile phones allow you the option to create a PIN or passcode for your device. It's definitely recommended to use either one of those, and always keep your device locked when you're not using it. And this prevents people from grabbing your phone, thinking it's theirs, and being able to access your data. A lot of people keep their email and everything open on their device all day long. You definitely don't want to have anyone gain access to your personal information. Most mobile devices nowadays, there are free apps available in both Google Play and the App Store to install a free antivirus program. Most of the mobile operating systems have it pre-built in, but it's always good to have that extra protection. Any of the free apps will definitely benefit you and allow you safe browsing and communication on those devices. As far as internet service, it's recommended to not connect to public Wi-Fi networks. Definitely can do it on your home or work, but definitely not on public. This is the most common way that information gets stolen, is someone's at Starbucks and they connect to the public Wi-Fi network, and there's someone there with a laptop also connected to the Wi-Fi network, and they are stealing your information as you're ordering your coffee. So it's best to stay away from those public Wi-Fi unless it's truly needed. You also want to pay attention to what apps you have installed. A lot of the apps nowadays, after you install them, ask you for permissions to use your camera, microphone, contacts, location services, and a whole slew of other things that are on your phone. You can change these options in your settings. Each app has its own settings for this, and you can turn them on and off as needed. The most common way to protect yourself is to have it only use your services when you are using the app. The default settings usually are set to allow access to all those items all the time, whether you're using the app or not. You definitely want to go in and change those settings when you can. The last thing I want to cover about mobile security is also, as I stated before, make sure your operating system is up to date. Again, Android and Apple both release updates to their system frequently, and it's definitely good practice to install those updates. I know some of them take quite a bit of time to install, and then your device reboots and you may miss a phone call or something important. But definitely when you have time, install those updates and keep your device up to date, as well as your apps and your antivirus. The next section I would like to cover is cybersecurity while traveling. There's not really much to this section, but again, we want to make sure your devices are locked while you're traveling or password protected in case you lose the device or misplace it or it gets stolen. You want to make sure that no one gains access to any of your items. You also want to make sure before you travel or leave the country, you want to definitely change your passwords so they're more secure, and make sure that that you're using the strong passwords, which have to include at least one capital, one lowercase, one symbol, and one number, and at least 8 characters long. This will definitely make it more difficult for someone to gain access to your systems. The next thing while traveling is check and make sure the Wi-Fi you're connecting to is a secure connection. I know a lot of times we travel, we want to stay connected. Generally, hotel internet connection is relatively safe, but you definitely want to double check. If you're traveling out of the country, I would be wary of any connection that you're going to be connected to. So just make sure that you're aware of what you're connecting to and what you're accessing while you're connected to that network. You definitely don't want to check your bank statements or anything like that while you're traveling out of the country on a public Wi-Fi. you may want to consider getting a personal hotspot or using the hotspot on your phone. That way you know what kind of connection you're getting. The other thing while connecting to Wi-Fi you want to make sure is to disable the auto connect option. So if you're traveling in a hotel, you definitely want to connect each time you want to use your device. You don't want to leave it connected all the time. So let's say you do a few things on social media and you're connected to the hotel internet, you definitely want to disconnect from it before you leave or close the lid to your computer. If you leave it connected and open, that leaves it open for someone to take advantage of. And the other item you want to make sure you turn off while you're traveling is Bluetooth connection when you're not using it. So if you have an earpiece or you're using it in the car, you definitely want to turn it off while you're walking around. This is another way that hackers are able to gain access to your mobile devices while you're traveling, is through the Bluetooth connection on your mobile device or your laptop. Okay, so the last section I want to cover is about social media. This is fairly important because you definitely want to protect yourself through that. Again, you want to use your strong passwords for all of your accounts. Most of the big social media networks have the two-factor authentication, so when you log into your device, if it's outside of a network that it's not registered with that social media network or whatever you're connecting to, it will send a text message to your phone where you have to type in a verification code. This is definitely a huge plus with social media, as if people are trying to hack your accounts from a different city, you will get a notification that a login occurred in another city, either by text message or by email. So you can definitely verify what they're logging into and where it's from. And it gives you the heads up that someone's logged in, so you can go ahead and go in and change your password. Also, for the social media, you want to check and update your privacy settings. Pretty much any social media account you create now, everything is available to the public. All your personal information, whatever you put in there during your sign up is available to the public. You can change these settings and set everything to private. This will also help with your friend requests and who can see your information and posts and what you're sharing. The other thing in social media you want to be careful of is clicking links. A lot of social media accounts are created by hackers to gain access to your information, and posts have certain links like click here to view this great news article, and it's not really a news article, it's a way for them to gain access to your systems. A lot of the social media platforms have holes, which they also update, but occasionally information gets leaked through them, so you definitely want to make sure you're cautious with that. The other good things to keep in mind about social media is the fact that social media has basically no delete button. Whatever you post on social media is out there for good. Whether you delete it or not, there's always a record of it on the back end of the social media company like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of them. They store everything, even though you delete it. It may not be visible at the moment, but there's always a trail of it somewhere. So be careful what you post. The sensitive information, questionable information, or inappropriate content, definitely stay away from posting all that. The other items you don't want to share are going to be personal information or travel information or schedule. You don't want to post on your social media that you are traveling out of the country from this day to this day. It's a good way for someone to know when you're not going to be home, and they will make attempts to break in your house while you're gone or steal something. There's a lot of bad people out there, and if you're posting it out there, you're just giving them access to you, basically. So you definitely don't want to post any of that. You don't want to post your address, telephone number, contact info, anything like that for anyone to get a hold of. You definitely want to make sure who you're friends with and who is viewing your information. So that covers the last item on my list of cybersecurity. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have at this moment. I will leave my contact information up here for the time being in case you come up with any questions in the future. You can reach me by email here, my direct phone number here, or if you're part of our organization and you need support, you can always visit our website, compasscharters.org/support, and you can find self-help or you can submit a ticket to our help desk and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So I'll go ahead and pass this off to Rebecca, and if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate. Type it in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
Well, thank you again, David. Such valuable and important information that you shared with us, and we are so grateful for that. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions and you're watching our reach out directly to David Brasch, the for those of us who are here in the live session, please get those questions ready. We're excited to answer them for you and continue the discussion going. Again, thank you so much to everybody who joined us today, whether it's live or virtual. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Again, thanks so much, and